So before I start, Slime Beast and Abysme already tackled this trailer in two different points. Slime Beast was more riffing on the trailer, while Abysme gave it a full-on review. I suggest you check out their videos as well. I'll put them in the card. Back when I first got into internet horror, so basically creepypasta and the SCP Foundation, one of the biggest names at the time was Slender Man, one word. For those who don't know who Slender Man is, I'll put a link in the card to a good friend of mine, Dead Palette, and his video on Slender Man and his origin. That has a lot of information about the process that I'm going to go into detail in this first part of the video. I was a huge Slender Man fan back in the day. I enjoyed a lot of the stories focused about Slender Man. I was a big fan of the web series that had Slender Man in it, but all of that changed once the video game showed up. Slender the Eight Pages was a game where you had to look through a random forest for pages that had various drawings on them, in the style of Alex Crayley's drawings from Marble Hornets, while avoiding the Slender Man. And it blew up hard. Every Let's Play channel at the time played it. They got tons of views from the Let's Plays, and the channels that are big today, like Markiplier, got their first big boost from the Slender Man games. The game, being an indie horror game, had a lot of unofficial sequels along with an official sequel in Slender the Arrival. And that's about the time I stopped enjoying the various horror stories and creepypastas written about Slender Man. It wasn't because the written stories were getting stale, and, well, they were, but most of them were based off of the thin plot from Slender the Eight Pages at this point. But it was also because this was about the point in time where the character of Slender Man felt cheapened by the Let's Plays, and kids saying that they knew Slender Man from these Let's Plays and not from sources like Marble Hornets, or the stories I used to read when I got into online horror. If you watched the video I linked in the card by Dead Palette, you've probably scrolled through the comments and found mine. It's long, but it pretty much says the same things I've said in this part of the video. The reason I put this part in, the reason I think you guys need to know about my personal history of the Slender Man character, is because I want full disclosure on how I feel about this trailer that's been released for Slender Man, two words. A movie that's based on the Slender Man character from the stories I enjoyed, the web series I watched, and the game that I feel started to pull the horror away from the Slender Man character for those who watched the Let's Plays at the time. Let's start with how the trailer opens. I've watched the trailer a few times now, and how it opens takes all the possible excitement I have for it and tosses it out a window. If you go to the official Sony Pictures YouTube channel before the trailer even really starts, you get bombarded with images of maggots, what looks like roots growing in the dirt, a screaming girl, a cell getting a needle shoved in it or eye surgery or something, and a dead woman opening her eyes and mouth as tendrils come out of them. The maggot's roots and the cell or eye surgery, whatever it is, are all in black and white, giving the whole sequence a feeling similar to a video from the Ring series. But more importantly, I feel that these images are only in the video to try and disturb the viewer. They're similar to a jump scare that you know it's coming. It's empty scares. It's popcorn horror that has no rhyme or reason to be there aside from maggots are creepy, or Marble Hornets had freaky black and white videos from To the Ark, so we need those too. Along with this, the trailer itself is just meaningless. It tells us almost nothing about the plot of the movie, other than that there's going to be a girl who stabs herself in the eye for no reason, a girl who is going to go missing, and the lines, "He gets in your head like a virus," which is so generic that it's the premise of The Bye Bye Man, one of the worst horror movies from 2017. By the way, you've probably noticed how I've said the movie's generic about 5 times within the last 2 paragraphs, and well, that's because it is. This could have been a horror trailer for almost anything. Any kind of monster, any kind of horror movie trope, and that's honestly what upsets me about the whole thing. Let me explain. In 2016, the Sci-Fi Channel started a series called Channel Zero. The premise of the show was to take creepypastas and turn them into a season of the show. It's sort of an anthology like The Twilight Zone, except each season would be focused on a different story. So far, Sci-Fi has had 2 seasons, Candle Cove and No End House. and both seasons seem to completely miss the point of the stories they were based off of, to the point where the first season did the entirety of the original Candle Cove story in one episode, and then made the rest of the season whatever the writers wanted. This was the first excursion of creepypasta into what I consider the mainstream, and it was generic. While looking up the trailer on YouTube for this video, I found a video by a channel called Hybrid Network, called Why the Slender Man Movie is a Mistake. I'll put a link in the card to that. The video says multiple times that creepypasta is a meme, that Slender Man is a meme. And at one point he actually states, "I don't think the future of mainstream horror lies in mining internet memes." Now, of course, that upset me, but the Hybrid Network also made a few good points in saying that the trailer was just ticking off boxes of what a horror trailer seems to be in the eyes of Hollywood. It's generic. It has spooky images. It has a few jump scares that tried to be the least subtle thing since, well, the Bye Bye Man. And honestly, it really doesn't need to be. And anyone who has actually watched a Slender Man web series or ARG knows this. In fact, if you type in Slender Man web series into the YouTube search bar, you'll get a bunch of different things if you scroll down. Things that are kind of examples of how getting well known has made the Slender Man character less frightening and more of a joke. But the first two results are the first entry of the web series Marble Hornets and a video by Nick Nocturne of Nightmine about various other Slender Man web series. The fact that Nick Nocturne, a big proponent of horror creators being original, highlighted various Slender Man web series and ARGs on his channel after he had outlined Marble Hornets, does show that people can use the Slender Man character in various ways without seeming to rip off one another. To me, this shows that the Slender Man movie and the trailer doesn't need to be such a generic hodgepodge of spooky images and basic horror tropes. And that's why I'm disappointed in it. So, I was eating breakfast the day after I finished this script, and I sort of had a realization on why the trailer is so generic. The trailer focuses on the monster, the Slender Man, rather than the characters that we're actually going to be following. If you've seen a Slender Man web series, you know that probably one of the most boring parts of it, after you've watched the series for an extended point of time, is the Slender Man character. Whether he's the operator for Marble Hornets, or the administrator from the main Slenderverse series, or whatever. The focus is never really on the Slender Man character, but instead we focus on the effect that the character of Slender Man has on the main characters of the story. We focus on everyone around Jay and Alex in Marble Hornets, we focus on the EMH crew and their loved ones in Everyman Hybrid, and even what is most likely the main antagonists of Tribe 12, the Collective, have more focus and more detail about how their lives were affected by the Slender Man character than we get about the Slender Man character himself. Meanwhile, the trailer for Slender Man, 2 words, focuses on the same thing that the trailer for the 2017 It remake did, and the Bye Bye Man, and almost every other horror trailer in the past few years. The monster. Now, I know most Slender Man web series aren't that great, but the ones that are each have one thing in common. The characters are the focus and not the monster. Even the so-called proxies get more focus on Slender Man in these series, with Alex Crayley being more of an antagonist than the operator, and Habit and the Observer serving as the main force against the protagonist of Everyman Hybrid and Tribe 12. So if this Slender Man movie does want to be good, it needs to not focus on the Slender Man character. It needs to be about the people affected by the Slender Man in the film. I kind of feel like this is mostly just echoing the points of Dead Pallet's video on Slender Man and Abysme's review of this trailer. So I'm going to stop there and just say that I feel like Sony Pictures isn't going to do this character or the movie the justice that the web series and ARGs on YouTube have. Personally, I feel like we kind of already had a great Slender Man web series that encompasses what a movie would do. The series being Stan Frederick. I feel like the concept that Stan had in these videos is perfect for the Slender Man movie. Even more than Everyman Hybrid and Marble Hornets. I'll put his channel on the end slate in case you guys want to check him out. If you've gotten this far, I want to thank you for watching this probably horribly edited review or opinion piece, whatever we're going to call it. If you want to know more about the various Slender Man web series and other horror web series and ARGs, please check out Nightmind. It's a channel run by Nick Nocturne. It's honestly really amazing. If you want to support good internet horror stories, check out toospooky.com. The link to the story part of the forums is in the description. And I highly suggest you watch Dead Series, a show about short horror stories worthy of discussion on Dead Pallet's channel. And if you want some cool music, go check out Abysme. He does a whole bunch of really awesome music. Like, seriously. This is getting awkward. I'm going to stop.